What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony two times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. It's nothing like being a kid. That innocence in your eyes, no worries in the world, going to school, going outside to play with friends, just looking at the world from a childlike state. A lot of parents try hard to keep their kids being kids. What I mean by that, they work hard to make sure they can participate in sports, go on family trips, might make sure they live in a nice and safe community, eat dinner every night at the table as a family, and instill things in them that will help them in life, while also telling them not to grow up too fast and enjoy being a child. But other kids might not be that fortunate and have a different upbringing. A lot of us coming from certain environments might get exposed to something too young that changes how we see the world. Whether losing a family member or friend to violence at a young age, walking outside, seeing people hustling, trying to make money while others struggle with addiction, hearing gunshots, seeing police tape, even if your parents or people in your house try to raise you right, that's just half the battle. The other half is what a kid sees and are exposed to when they go outside. I remember watching my mother be sick for years. Then one day, while I was outside trapping, she called me and said she was going to the hospital for an emergency. That look on her face and the call later on saying she didn't make it shook me to my core. I was 17 years old with a daughter on the way, already running the streets, doing and saying way too much. But that one day forever changed me, and I lost the little innocence I still had. 3 months later, I was facing 25 years in prison. I consider myself one of the lucky ones though. Some kids, unfortunately, don't even get a chance to make it to the other side and see it's more to life. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of a teen who was warned on TV about his choices, but the streets had other plans. Back in 2015, 17-year-old Franklin Morris was trying his best to navigate the streets of Baltimore, but the teen, like most of us that age, was having growing pains. Franklin had been through a lot early on, losing his father years prior in 2012 in the Baltimore streets to gun violence, which caused Franklin to start rebelling, and he started getting into trouble. At around 14 years old, he started breaking into houses, stealing, gambling, and running the streets, which led to concerned family members reaching out to the popular TV show Beyond Scared Straight. For those not familiar, that's where troubled kids go to their local jails to see how the inmates live. They try to scare them by telling their stories and showing them their reality and what it can be if they keep going down that path. And in 2013, Franklin was on an episode where he explained he liked to have fun, hang out in his neighborhood, and stay out late with friends, and sometimes they would get into trouble. He was sent to a jail in Queen Anne's County, Maryland. In the show, Franklin really took it as a joke, laughing, looking at the inmates like they were actors. He showed no interest in nothing they was talking about, which if you know anything about Baltimore, then you know the people, even the kids, don't scare easy, as there's nothing more scarier than walking down a city block after dark. But Franklin's family was hoping the show had an impact on the young man and could do some good. But instead, just a few years later, in 2015, he started running the streets even more and catching some serious cases. He was hanging with two other young men, 19-year-old Marquise Caldwell, known as Noodles by everyone who knew him, and 17-year-old Tyreek Adams, known as Ty. Noodles got his nickname because he loved to dance. He attempted to stay out of trouble and out the streets by joining a local dance group. The young man, who could rap and dance, would often tell people he would be the king of Baltimore. He was outgoing, he loved to joke and have fun. But around 2012, Noodles fell back from the dance scene a little bit when his mentor, Erwin Daniels, who Noodles even stayed with from time to time, lost his life in the Baltimore streets. After that, his passion for dance started falling off. He stopped participating as much in the competitions and he slowly pulled back. Some felt Erwin was one of the only ones who could keep Noodles from jumping into the streets. A few years after his passing, he started catching some serious charges from trapping and other things. Ty was described as a natural leader, young but strong-minded, often telling people, "Can't nobody run me or tell me what to do, I'm my own man." Him and Noodles were locked in like brothers. They was homies for life. Franklin and Noodles would get jammed up after hitting a lick together when the two allegedly broke into a house in Baltimore County and posted some of the items online. The man whose house it was searching the internet one day when he recognized some of his items on Craigslist. He set up a meeting to buy some of the items back, but instead of him showing up, he called local police. They pulled up on the teens and found some of the stolen items, and the two also had guns on them as well. They both were taken into custody, charged but made bail. Noodles been on probation from a prior drug conviction. A warrant was put out for his arrest, but he wasn't picked up. Just a few months later, on a summer night, August 13th, 2015, Franklin, Noodles, and Ty were all together by a park not too far from Old York Road on Willow Avenue. They were just bopping around, chopping it up, when BPD, who was already in the area, heard multiple shots go off. They hit the block to find all three young men suffering from gunshot wounds, and two of them had guns on them. They were all rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, they all would pass away from their injuries. BPD started an investigation, but it was almost like they were chasing a ghost. Nobody saw or heard nothing, and they had no leads or suspects. The community was in shock as everyone was left to mourn the three young men. It seemed their families were no closer to answers. As months went by, the case started going cold, as some people remembered the three, Noodles for his dance skills, which ironically, if he would have been arrested for his probation violation after he made bail for his new charge, he probably would have still been alive. Franklin, who also had a chance to get it right, but couldn't shake the streets. And Ty, who despite his strong mind, couldn't shake the street life himself. As of now, 11 years later, it still hasn't been an arrest in the case, and it still remains cold. Rest in peace to Noodles, Ty, and Franklin. I send my prayers and condolences to their families and loved ones. Unfortunately for some, you could tell them all day. Things can happen if you keep living a certain lifestyle, but it doesn't seem real until it really is real. When we are young, we always think these old heads just talking. I don't care what you've been through. It ain't happened to me, and a lot of us didn't listen. Some had to go through the fire themselves, but made it out on the other side. But unfortunately, some don't. But I'm going to leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts about the situation in the comments. Yeah, man, it's a sad story. Rest in peace, them three young men. I definitely send my prayers to their families. But I ain't going to talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's another episode of the Baltimore Way. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. For a lot of people, depending on how or where you grew up at, they might not understand the streets, the prison system, and what goes on in them, which is 100% a good thing. But for others, most of our lives, we all heard or hear about certain places and gangs in them environments. For example, if you are flying to Cali, then you know no red, blue, because of the Crips and Bloods. Wear your hat straight, watch where you go, how you talk, who you are with, unless you are on what they are on. Because gang life and culture is very real and active out there. The same with Chicago. The GDs, BDs, Vice Lords, Black P Stones, Four Corner Hustlers, and other gangs run the city and have certain politics and rules they live by. For me, I have lived in a few different places. Salute to Birmingham, Alabama, my second home. Really, the first place I learned about gang life. It's real. All the gangs from the places I just named, like Cali and Chicago, are out there. Because usually somebody from them states where they originate at will bring the knowledge or wisdom of that organization to certain cities and start sets wherever they are. Atlanta, where I also lived at, the same thing. They even take it a step further, not just with known gangs and organizations, but also homegrown gangs as well. Smaller cliques that might go by 3 letters or something like that. I'm sure we all seen the YSL trial, short for Young Slime Life, where it was determined it was a gang. And just like Atlanta, other cities also have organizations you probably will only find out there. I never been to Cleveland, but salute to the people out there. I met a lot of people from there, and the Heartless Felons, an organization from that city, runs the streets and prison system, for what I heard. But this video is about the streets and prison system in my hometown, Baltimore, Maryland. When I was a hopper and I moved back home from Birmingham, it was like 2001 or 2002. Bloods and Crips was just really catching on in the city, as members were coming from Cali, putting down the foundation. Back in the 80s and 90s, Baltimore was really all about blocks or neighborhoods, not gangs. But one organization always had a stronghold on the city. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be taking it all the way back to 2015 to discuss the case of a Baltimore gang that sent the man on an ultimate crash out mission for violating. Baltimore, Maryland, my hometown, a beautiful city with a lot of charm. From the cobblestone streets down Fells Point, the inner harbor before everything got shut down. The row houses, corner stores, the good food, beautiful people with good hearts who take pride in where they come from. We have an accent and culture like no other around the world. You might hear words you never heard before, like yo dragon, you geeking dummy, over west, over east, somebody saying I'm ready to catch a hack out the county. You might hear club music and watch the culture come out and the way people dance. I could go on and on the good things about the city. But just like every other city, under the layer of the hard-working everyday people trying to survive, it's an underworld. The streets of Baltimore have always been known for drugs, hustling, getting money. Some say it's bigger than just the people in the city. It's a higher ups and corruption that's been going on for decades, leading to abandoned houses, poverty. Some feel like it's a lack of opportunities. But no matter what, one thing I can say about most of us Baltimoreans, we know how to survive, make something out of nothing, and we play the cards we are dealt. A city where a lot of parents were addicted to some kind of substance. So a lot of kids see a lot early on and raise themselves. And some only see or feel love when they go outside, around the way, and hang with yo and them on the corner. That search for love and acceptance usually leads people to forming a brotherhood or sisterhood to make sure no matter what, if they don't have nobody else, they got each other. And that's exactly how most gangs come about. What's supposed to start with protecting the neighborhood or each other usually shifts somewhere in the mix though. Like I said earlier on, it's Bloods and Crips in the city, MS-13, DMI, and a bunch of other gangs. But one gang in particular I always heard about back home was BGF, or the Black Gorilla Family, where some call J. If you know, you know. stayed to have started in a prison system in Cali in the 60s for the black inmates who felt they were being oppressed by other races. Their principles at first were just like the Black Panthers, brothers sticking together and fighting the system. But just like everything else, once more members joined, the organization got bigger, the main focus got lost somewhere in the sauce. In the jail and prison systems in Maryland, when I was a hopper trying to do my little time, they had a lot of influence and power with COs, even other inmates. You had real members and some people who just wanted to be down. They would do stuff for the gang, but really was flunkies. I remember being over BCCC on Green Mount in like 06. Right by the jail was the projects, Latrobe Homes, right across from Dunbar Field. And the BGF ran the wall, meaning any contraband. Back then, when we went to yard, a member of the organization who had pull would make a call uptown or to the free word, get somebody to load up a package. It could be tobacco, grass, boy, girl, pills, whatever, to throw it over the wall so they can make some money and flood the jail. This is where the pull of the organization came in. Some COs would say, come over the wall, turn the other cheek, and act like they didn't see a thing. And the crash dummy who wanted to be BGF, or a lower level member who probably only had 2 months left on their sentence, would grab it and try to take it back into the jail, risking getting caught and possibly getting more time. Like this, they built the empire in jail and in the streets. That was the case of Tavon White, a leader of the organization that ran an empire from jail. He was able to get anything in that he wanted, living like a king from behind the wall. If you cracked slick, he could also have another inmate disciplined, even having his way with the guards, getting 4 of them pregnant at the same time. While making so much money from the jail, he was taking care of his peoples in the streets. So with that kind of pull, the organization always stood out. That's just a little backstory though. Now to the case. Back in 2015, 29-year-old Jason Armstrong was said to be either a member of the gang or associated with BGF. He was a free man though in the streets, where members usually could be found in every part of the city and county. Somewhere in the mix, while trying to solidify his ties to the gang, Jason would violate some of their rules. It's not clear what he did, but members gave him an option. Either he could face consequences from them or do something to get back in good standards. He chose to stay in good with the gang. He wasn't told the mission until the day of. Then, in January 2015, it was time. Jason was ordered to walk into the police station. Simple enough, right? The station was the Northeastern District. As he walked in, he bopped around and stood around for a second. At first, police paid the man no mind, until one police walked by stating somebody smelled like straight grass. They also seen Jason moving around a lot, and he kept fixing something in his pants. Wondering what was going on with the man, one officer approached him, and another asked, was he okay? Before noticing Jason looking and laughing nervously, they decided they would search the man. On him, they found drugs, 24 bags of ratty or girl, some smack or boy, grass, and a loaded .22 caliber handgun. Stunned, a man would walk into the station, which didn't have metal detectors at the time, basically walking himself into a prison cell. Police asked Jason, like, yo, are you high or something? What's wrong with you? What he told them next was shocking. He stated he violated the organization, BGF, and he didn't want to face the consequences on the streets. So they told him he had to load up all the drugs and gun, walk in a police station to test security, see what was what and what they could get in, so they could get stuff over the jail to give to their comrades. At first, police couldn't believe a man would be so bold to do something like that. But that just goes to show the gang's pull, that Jason rather went to prison than to face them. After a full confession, he was charged with multiple drug and weapon charges. As the case went to court, the feds picked it up, and Jason was sentenced to 57 months, just shy of 5 years fed time. I know a lot of people will think like, yeah, all right, I'm not doing nothing like that. But either Jason had that much love for the gang or fed. He crashed out. and sacrificed himself. I remember watching guys so pressed, we used to say, yo, just like Brandy, he want to be down. And I used to laugh to myself. I had family members and homeboys a part of the organization. I know some dudes was running up their time, doing crash out missions in jail just to say they was affiliated, but they never was officially J. But I want to know y'all thoughts on the situation. If you was in Jason's shoes, what would you have did? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, man, it's a wild situation. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. It's another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.
Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of the Baltimore Way. In this video, I'll be discussing the story of a wife who catches her husband with his new girlfriend. Then everything changed. But before we get into this video, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and join the Tony 2 times family. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And of course, feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Everything in this video is alleged. This story I'm about to tell is layered because on one side, you have a man who lost 16 years of his life behind bars for something he didn't do, only to get his freedom and years later lose his life in a completely different situation. And on the other side, you have a woman people describe as kind, loving, the type to give her last, now facing charges that nobody ever imagined her being connected to. Let's get into it. Back in July 1999, Gareth Parks was just a 16-year-old kid trying to figure out life in the Park Heights neighborhood of Baltimore City, when everything changed in a matter of moments. He was running out of an alley telling officers he'd just been robbed, but the police didn't believe him. Instead, they connected him to a shooting that left one man gone and another injured. They charged him with the crimes. Despite his age, Gareth was prosecuted as an adult and handed a crushing 80-year sentence. That's a life sentence in reality. But here's where things take a turn. Over a decade went by. It wasn't until Gareth himself filed a public information request that the truth came out. Tucked away in a police file was a report where another man had actually admitted to the deed. Even worse, there was a handwritten note from the prosecutor explicitly saying, "Do not release." He spent 16 years, half of his life at that point, behind bars for a crime he didn't commit. In 2015, Gareth finally walked free. He eventually received a $125,000 settlement from the city for those lost years. He was a man who had fought the system and won his freedom back, presumably ready to start life over at the age of 32. It was his chance to rebuild a life that had been paused for nearly 2 decades. After his release, Garrett stepped into the world that had completely changed. Technology, relationships, opportunities, everything was different. But like many people coming home after a long time, you try to find stability, you try to find love, and somewhere along that journey, Renee Parks became a part of his life. Now, from what people say, 49-year-old Renee wasn't someone you'd expect to be in the headlines like this. People described her as sweet, kind-hearted, the type of person who would go out of her way for others. And at some point, her and Gareth built a relationship strong enough to turn into marriage. From the outside looking in, things seemed normal, even happy. There were photos of them smiling together, embracing, looking like a couple with a future. But as we all know, what things look like on the outside doesn't always match what's going on behind closed doors. As time went on, things between Gareth and Renee started to shift. Reports describe them as estranged, meaning they were no longer really together in the way a married couple should be. And that word estranged can mean a lot of things: distance, arguments, broken trust, or even one person trying to move on while the other isn't fully ready to let go. According to social media chatter, some people believed Gareth had started seeing someone else. Others said he was trying to separate completely from Renee. And then there is another possibility. What if Renee didn't fully see the relationship as over? What if in her mind, things weren't done? Because when emotions are involved, especially in marriage, things can get complicated fast. Fast forward to the night of Tuesday, March 31st. Garrett was in a silver Oldsmobile with a woman who identified herself as his girlfriend. They were parked in the 3700 block of West Belvedere Avenue around 10 p.m. They had just pulled up, and at one point, Gareth stepped out to speak with someone he recognized nearby. After that brief interaction, he got back into the car, and that's when things took a sudden turn. Another vehicle pulled up beside them, a dark green Nissan Rogue. Renee was behind the wheel. According to reports, she allegedly positioned her car right next to the driver's side of Garrett's vehicle. According to the girlfriend in the passenger seat, Renee looked at Gareth and uttered a chilling 5-word sentence. "You think this is a game." Moments later, the girlfriend said Renee produced a purple firearm and a single shot rang out from the open window. Gareth was hit in the neck while sitting in the driver's seat, right in front of the woman who was with him. As Renee allegedly sped off into the night, the girlfriend was left desperately applying pressure to the wound, trying to keep Gareth alive. First responders rushed Gareth to Sinai Hospital, but tragically, he didn't survive the night. The man who had survived 16 years of wrongful imprisonment had his life cut short at 43. The following day, April 1st, investigators tracked Renee to her home on Dublin Circle in Lutherville, Baltimore County. Interestingly, when they arrived, she claimed she was actually on her way to the police station with her lawyer to talk about what happened. During a search of her home and car, detectives found a weapons box, empty magazines with purple sparkle base plates, and matching rounds. While they found a different firearm in the house, the specific purple one described by the girlfriend was nowhere to be found. Renee Parks was taken to Central Booking and hit with a long list of charges, including first and second degree counts of taking a life and multiple firearm violations. The woman described by her peers as sweet is now facing the rest of her life behind bars. Renee Parks is innocent until proven guilty. May Gareth Parks rest in peace. My condolences to his family and loved ones. I send my well wishes during this difficult time. I can't imagine the grief both sides are experiencing. At the end of the day, this was a married couple, so their families were intertwined. It's unfortunate that things couldn't have ended peacefully. Now let's talk about this from a real human perspective, because situations like this, they don't just happen out of nowhere. It's a buildup. Looking at this case as a married woman, I can't help but feel the heavy, messy emotions involved here. Now let me be clear, nothing justifies what happened that night. But as a wife, I understand how betrayal can feel like a physical weight in your chest. That's a different type of pain if you don't know how to regulate those feelings. If you feel like you've been pushed to the edge, or if you believe the person you built a life with is discarding you for someone else, the pain can be blinding. It's easy to look at those smiling photos of them and wonder what was said in private. Was she clinging to a ghost of a marriage while he was already out the door? But here's the thing, no matter how strong those emotions are, how you respond to them matters. Because one moment, one decision can change everything forever. There is a terrifying thin line between sweet and caring and broken and desperate. It's a reminder that we never truly know what's happening behind closed doors or inside someone's heart when they feel their world is ending. It's a double tragedy. One man's hard-won freedom ended in an instant, and a woman's life is possibly dismantled by a moment of absolute, devastating clarity that she couldn't take back. It's tragic all the way around. Fam, do you believe this was something that had been building up for a long time? Or was this a situation that just spiraled out of control in a matter of seconds? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of the Baltimore Way. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative and believe these stories matter, please consider liking this video so more people can see it. Subscribe for more stories like this that deserve to be heard. And most importantly, take care of yourself and each other. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times. Until next time.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. For most men in America, it's an everyday struggle to keep your mental health in check. Make sure you provide if you have a family. Stay strong. Try not to show no sign of weakness. Hide your feelings and a lot more. And for black men just trying to survive and see another day, it's a job and struggle within itself. If you come from a certain environment, life can be fragile and death comes cheap. In most places, we have all put expectations on ourselves and our people. For example, you come from the trenches, right? Say you are 25 years old, been there your whole life, dealt with everything that comes with being there, losing friends, trying to stay out the way, ducking a jail cell while trying not to be a victim yourself. Now you look up one day and you have a child and want to do better for yourself and family. You go get a job and decide, I want to move out to somewhere a little safer to raise my baby. Now just that fast, you could be considered a sucker, sellout, scared, not real, because you left the same environment that brought you so much emotional trauma and pain. And a lot of us either stick around or come back so much just to show we still can or we are connected to the people. But realistically, unfortunately, we still know in the back of our mind, it's a bigger chance I can get backdoored by my own people who I think love me, or a small altercation or disagreement with somebody that looks just like me can cost me my life or freedom. But we still will risk it all, even if we don't have to, instead of just staying out the way. For decades, in my humble opinion, most of us that come from certain places have been tricked to believe we owe everybody loyalty, love, and our presence, instead of the ones we really owe, our kids and family. Because all it takes is one day at the wrong time, being somewhere you don't have to be just to say you outside, for your life to be cut short. and your family to be grieving forever. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of a man who hunted another man down and took his life on a crowded Baltimore block. Back in 2024, 28-year-old Eugene Fitzgerald was navigating life in Baltimore. The man described as being laid back with a big personality and even bigger smile. He came from a big family who jokingly always stated he irked their nerves. Like many of us trying to find our way out here, Eugene had a few hiccups in the past, but he was focused on his future, especially now. He was a father. Fatherhood meant everything to him, and he was also trying to make a living selling cars after getting his dealer's license. To Eugene, family was everything, but he also had a close bond with friends and people around the way too. He would often go to Pennsylvania Avenue in West Baltimore to chop it up with a few close friends or just to hang out. Another man who also came through on a regular was 34-year-old Tony Dukes. Tony had a rough past filled with trauma from childhood, which went on into his teen and adult years, landing him in and out of Baltimore jails and Maryland state prisons. Stated to have a little bit of a temper problem and easily triggered, somewhere in the mix, Tony and Eugene would cross paths, and whatever happened between the two men left Tony feeling some kind of way. On a spring day, March 26, 2024, Eugene was standing outside in front of the Penn Mart on Pennsylvania Avenue. It was after 4 p.m., so the block was crowded. When out of nowhere, multiple shots went off, leaving people running and ducking for cover. BPD was called to the location to find Eugene suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, and unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. Even though the block was busy, most people either didn't want to talk to police or they claimed they didn't know what happened or see anything. BPD soon started an investigation and offered a cash reward for any information leading to an arrest, but nobody came forward. Only thing they could count on was technology, with cameras all in the area. They were able to get a description of the shooter, what he was wearing that day, and follow a trail. They saw a man wearing the clothes the shooter was stated to have on. It seemed the man was standing and lurking by the store just minutes before the shooting. They tracked this location all through the city, before and after the incident. It showed the suspect traveling from Rogers Station to Lexington Market, then his last stop was Upton Station, with his face as clear as day in the footage. After the shooting, the same man could be seen bopping fast and heading back the same way he came. Police familiar with the suspect, the man was soon identified as Tony. A few weeks after the incident, he was tracked down, taken into custody, as police determined he either got a call that Eugene was on the block or he actually stalked the man, followed Eugene until he hit the block, then ambushed him. He was charged with first-degree hit and being a felon in possession of a firearm. As Eugene's family was left to grieve, the man who many said didn't make any enemies and most people took a liking to, it was more questions than answers on what the beef was about. While in custody, Tony's mental health came into question. He was supposed to be evaluated. He never confirmed or denied if he was the person in the video, but with technology, he couldn't say much. As the case made its way to trial, prosecutors painted a picture of a disagreement between two men that led to one tracking the other down, taking his life in broad daylight on a crowded block, putting everybody in danger with no regard for human life. Tony's attorney tried to fight back, claiming his client had a rough upbringing, struggled with his mental health, and never learned to control his feelings or emotions. They confirmed he was the man in the video, even though he never confessed to being the actual shooter. A jury found Tony guilty on all charges. At sentencing, the courtroom was filled with Eugene's family and tensions were high. Tony's attorney asked the judge to be lenient and stated he never received his psych evaluation. As the sentence was read out loud, life plus a consecutive 35 years in prison, Tony zapped out, causing Eugene's family to respond in the same manner. And the back and forth started with one of Eugene's family members threatening to take Tony's mother's life. So the family were ejected from the courtroom. Tony was as well, with a fresh life sentence. Rest in peace to Eugene. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. He wasn't even 30 yet. Life gone. Even worse, he was a dad. So now somebody has to grow up knowing this happened to their father. They never stated what the beef was all about. I would say it was probably deep for Tony to travel, allegedly stalk Eugene down and take his life in broad daylight. But sometimes situations don't be about nothing and people still crash out. The end game is always the same though. We all lose as a people. Two men from the same environment, both probably could have added value to the community with the right tools and guidance. One now will probably never come home and the other is gone forever. 2 for 1. We always fall right into the trap. Eugene could have been home trying to get his hands on some cars to sell, but he was outside, easy to be found, and unfortunately became a target. I know in a lot of our minds, we feel like no matter what, we will always be 100 with our peoples. Come around the way, post up, rather just to say we can or to feel validation. I fought with that for years, especially when I first left Baltimore. I kept going back home until I realized the reason I left in the first place was to get myself together and build a better life. Not saying you can't do that in a city, but it depends on the person. Everybody is not strong enough to not go around the way, change people, places, and things, and understand we only owe ourselves and kids loyalty, nobody else. If most men understood that and let their ego and pride go, the graveyard and prisons would be way less full. But instead, we pride ourselves in knocking each other off if we feel disrespected, or being able to say you can stand on the block for what? Just so the same story can repeat itself over and over again. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Yeah, man, crazy situation. Rest in peace, that man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.